So good morning to all the attendants to this extraordinary meeting. So I'm Caroline Galacteros, founder and president of Geopragma. Today, the board of Geopragma and I have the great honor and pleasure to welcome His Excellency Mr. Hisham Sharaf Abdalla, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Government of National Salvation of the Republic of Yemen, to share his views with us and assessments of the present situation in his country and also his forecasts in political and military fields. So the debate will then, after your speech, Your Excellency, Mr. Minister, the debate will then start with our French experts, and will be driven by Christopher Conan, our Secretary General of Geopragma. And since we have a lot to say, and especially before all to hear from you, and I'll give immediately the floor to the VP of Geopragma, Mrs. Patricia Lalonde, who will briefly introduce the subjects, and then we will have the honor to hear you. Patricia, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Thank you, Madame la Présidente. I am particularly honored to have His Excellency Hisham Sharaf today. Indeed, the war in Yemen, which is going on for 6 years, between the government of Mansour Hadi, recognized by the international community, and the government of National Salvation, the Houthi plus General Congress people, and the government of Salvation who have signed the capital Sana'a recently. This war has killed hundreds of thousands of people and has created the worst humanitarian situation in the world. And this is a forgotten war, as the media are rarely covering it. The situation now is at a turning point, as the so-called rebels in Sana'a are now gaining grounds and are possibly taking the town of Marib, which is close to the rich in oil and gas field. Unfortunately, none of the peace process negotiations have succeeded. When I was at the European Parliament, I took the initiative to invite the team which have negotiated in Stockholm in December 2018 under the direction of Martin Griffiths, the United Nations Special Envoy. There was at the time hope that the blockade at Odeda and Sana'a airport, which prevented humanitarian aids to enter, should be broken. But it never happened. Mohammed Abdul Salam was leading the negotiating team for the Government of National Salvation and explained to us why the Stockholm Agreement was so important and why it was so difficult to apply. MPs of all European parliamentary groups were attending the meeting, making therefore the war in Yemen much more unstable for them. Recently, as the war is spreading in Marib district, a team from Oman went in Sana'a a few days ago to try to find a solution, as Joe Biden has just appointed a US Special Envoy, Tim Lenderking. His Excellency Hisham Sharaf will tell us more about this negotiation and about the military and humanitarian situation and how France and Europe can contribute. I will now give the floor to our General Secretary, Christopher Conan, who will present our panelists. The floor is yours.
Good morning, good afternoon to all of you. We will be hearing the comments from His Excellency, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And afterwards, we will have questions from 6 of our panelists. We have with us France Senator Jeremy Bacchi of the Bouches du Rhone department, the Ambassador Didier Destremaux, former ambassador to Yemen and chargé d'affaires, General Jean-Bernard Pinatel, Vice President of Geopragma, Renaud Girard, Special Correspondent at Le Figaro, Shadi Shlela, Franco-Lebanese war reporter at Sky News and France 24, and Rudolf El Carré, Professor Emeritus And we will take the questions first from Mr. Senator and Mr. Ambassador after the remarks from His Excellency. So Your Excellency, please enlighten us.
Good morning. Good morning.
Your Excellency, please, you have the floor for your remarks.
Yes. I know, but do you hear my voice?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good, because I'll tell you something before I start. First of all, I am honored to meet such a group today. And because we have very, very weak internet, sometimes you cannot see us, we cannot see you. So bear with me this fact that we have been taken to the lowest level of internet services by our brothers in Saudi Arabia. Let's go to the subject. The war in Yemen. I will be very brief in going to the issue as a whole in three segments. First, the political side or the political affairs and how this war started and why the war is on. The story started since 2014, when our brothers in Saudi Arabia wanted us to fight the Houthis, our brothers, who have stormed or had stormed the capital, and His Excellency, the late President Saleh, refused and asked for a national coalition for all, including the Houthis and the Hadi people and the Islah and all parties. The Saudis refused and they said, no, you have to fight them. We said no, and then the war started, and that's the reason why we in the GPC, General People's Congress, my party, made a partnership with Ansarullah, the Houthis, and we started to fight for Yemen, and the war continued. That's the beginning of the whole thing, the refusal of having a national coalition when Mr. Jamal bin Umar, the UN envoy, was in Sana'a. The Saudis wanted Ansarullah out. They wanted us to fight them. Otherwise, we will be enemies, we, the GPC, and any other political forces. From there, this war started. Many of you will ask, why this war in a poor country like Yemen? Why? I mean, we are underdeveloped country. We are really having the worst human development indicators in Yemen some time ago, not only because of the war. We have the biggest unemployment rate, or the highest unemployment rate in this region. So why should we fight each other? But it was really a war that was planned for prior to its start. And today I can tell my friends in France that the war plan was prepared in November 2014, not because of the Houthis. It started after the Houthis, let's say, made that maneuver near Saada. No. It was 6 months or 5 months prior to the start of the war that the Saudis, with all Gulf countries and the military attaches of the United States, of England, and some other countries, met in Riyadh. They put the plan and they just waited for the 26th of March for the war to start. Then the war started. If you ask me also, why the Saudis did all that thing to us, I can tell you very frankly. The Saudis wanted to train their pilots. The Saudis wanted to enter into a real war from the skies instead of going to Fort Lauderdale base in the US or in other, let's say, spaces. They were training on us. And I can assure you of this truth, because they did not know how to hit military targets. They hit schools, houses, other factories, many civilian institutions because they don't know how to fight. It was a training on us. And today, when we have around 350,000 people dead in Yemen because of this bombing and also because of the battles on the ground, it is because of these unexperienced pilots, unexperienced military commanders in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, and they were training their soldiers on Yemeni civilians. And we have proofs of that. We will do it. Let's go to the economic side of the subject. Yemen is an underdeveloped country. And it was one of the plans of the coalition countries that Yemen should be still dependent on the Saudis and on the Gulf countries to be a market for them. So our factories were hit. All of our production facilities have been paralyzed. So now we eat 100% of what we need from Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. We import it from them, although they are killing us. We still have some fruits, some other crops that we are making in Yemen. But again, the Saudis wanted us to surrender. For what? I don't know. It is just only this arrogance of some of their leaders who think that by conquering the Yemenis, they can declare that they are a superpower in the Arabian Gulf. It's not true and will not happen. And regardless of the blockade, let me quickly speak on the blockade. Do you know that we are here in Sana'a for 6 years, not able to go anywhere in the world or in the region because the Saudis think that we will surrender? I myself, as the foreign minister of this government, the National Salvation Government, cannot go anywhere in the world while they can go everywhere and explain their points of view. They can meet other officials. Okay, we are rebels. We accept it. We turn it over the table, but let us talk to the world. Tell them what is happening and why we did this. There is a reason behind it. They don't want anyone to listen to our voice. Not only me, but everyone in this government. Although we are civilians, we are not military personnel. They're afraid of the word. If they knew today that we are going to meet, believe me, they will do their best to stop it or not let us talk to you. So this blockade has no reason, no effect on the war. The war is military. The war is somewhere else. And Sana'a airport, this airport has been open for with the war. Okay, let's now look to what is happening in terms of peace. Ms. Patricia Lalonde mentioned something about what is going on. The Saudis, Emiratis, are trying to connect the issues of military file with the issues of social and economic and humanitarian file. They say, we will let you out, we will let you open the airport, seaport blockade will be lifted, but you have to do this and this and this in the military file. The humanitarian file has nothing to do with the military file. The ballistic missiles, the troops fighting at the borders, no, it has nothing to do with that. But again, they want to screw us or to twist our hands on this issue, and they will not let Sana'a airport be open. They will not let the blockade to be lifted. And today, and a month ago, we have no fuel in Sana'a for the cars. They give it to us drop by drop, thinking that we will surrender. Okay, let's wait for others to come between us. The Americans came, and really we do thank them for that effort, not only the Americans, but also the UN through their envoy. We are trying our best to show the intentions for peace. We need peace. Our people are fed up now. I tell you, today, people are fed up with this crazy, unmeaningful war. No one is benefiting from this war. No one. The Saudis bought a lot of weapons from the US, from other countries, England and others in Europe. And the Emiratis have trade to reflect their small Sparta that General Matières talked about them. They want to believe that they are a small power in the region, but they are not running the show. It's run by British, by Americans and French and other mercenaries who are working for them. And they're taking now our islands. These are poor islands, undeveloped islands. And the Emiratis, instead of going to the Iranians, taking their 3 islands they claim for, they're coming to our Socotra Island, a protectorate of the UN. They're coming to our Mayoun Island, an undeveloped island, and they're putting all these advanced military bases. Why? Because these guys, I can tell you, in France and other countries in Europe, they have a lot of money. They have bundles of money. They want to spend it on new colonialism. They think that they can do it in our country, but we can tell them from now, they will fail. We need peace for the Yemeni people, not for the fighting parties, for the poor people who are there not having food to eat, not for those who are fighting, those who really are doing something for some political reasons. Our Yemeni people want this war to be over, to stop. And then if they want to fight, they can go to the borders. Not here in Sana'a, not in our cities. The humanitarian crisis is so big that you cannot notice it. People are begging in the streets. People are losing their houses. People have been displaced. 4 million people left their houses. And they are running between Sana'a, Damar, and other cities, and they don't have a work to find some food. So the whole humanitarian effect of this did not get the attention of the Saudis or the Emiratis. They want to leave this war with victory. They want to declare to the world they are victorious, while we in Sana'a are not looking for that. We want the war to stop, but at the same time, peace comes for our people, not for those warlords or those who wait and went to Saudi Arabia and other countries and being put on the payroll of these 2 countries. I was one of the officials of this government, 10 years. Okay, now we are back. I still have a few minutes, and then I will leave the floor for all of you. Again, the final comment I will give as a National Salvation Government Foreign Minister. I'm not speaking here for the Houthis or Ansarullah, our partners. I speak for this coalition and partnership government. And again, I can tell you all the guests who are in this round table, or let's say in this open interview or open meeting, I can tell you that we really need peace. We get fed up of this war. There is no meaning for more fighting from now on, but the Saudis and the Emiratis should listen. They are not superpowers. They are like us, countries in the region. They have a bundle of wealth. They have billions of dollars, yes, but we have our dignity. We have our nationalism in this country, and we want to live in peace. We want to build this country step by step. For all of you to know, now we are 10 years behind many countries in the region. All things we have done in the 50 years or 30 years that we had national development plans, now we are 10 years back. Our schools are in a bad shape. Our universities are in a bad shape. All of our living institutions are over now. This is what the Saudis and the Emiratis want. They want people who can be led and being paid. We are not these people. We have a lot of oil in Yemen, and we need Total to come back to Yemen. We have a lot of oil that we can pay for our bills. We don't need the money of the Saudis. I hope they listen to this word. And if they don't listen, we'll make them listen. We have a lot of means of doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your very meaningful and interesting remarks. And I will ask the first two questions for Mr. The Senator. The first question, after 7 years of war, a military solution does not seem apparent. What are, according to you, the conditions to end conflict and a possible path to renew with negotiations and a peaceful settlement? The second question concerns the humanitarian situation, which you talked about. The United Nations is clearly calling what's happening in Yemen a human tragedy. Apparently 80% of the 7 million Yemeni need medical care, for example. How, according to you, should humanitarian aid be organized and given to the Yemeni people?
Okay, so this is the first question about, let's go to peace.
Yes.
It was so easy, yes, so easy and so simple regarding how we can reach peace. There is no military solution to this conflict. We asked them for a simple thing first, to end this blockade on us. There was no blockade on us prior to the November, in fact, August 2016. At the peak of the military operations, Sana'a airport was open. A lot of strikes used to happen on the capital, and then they stop it, then the plane go and come back. So things were going well in terms of having a war. But then someone told them, go, close Sana'a airport, tighten the grips on Hodeidah, not let the fuel come, and then the Houthis will surrender. That was the ill-fated advice given to the Saudis and the Emiratis. So now we are asking for a simple thing. Separate the humanitarian file from the military file. Show the good intentions of this coalition. In fact, it's Saudi Emirati coalition with the Americans. That's just like that. Show good signals, green signals. Let the airport be open. Let the seaport be open for food and petroleum derivatives. Life will come normal, and then go and talk in Oman or even in hell about peace, how you can have these political negotiations. They say, no, you have to sit on the table and talk about military issues and talk about also humanitarian issues so they can twist our hands. This is not acceptable. They have to be very reasonable. So this is the first one. It's so easy to solve it if a country comes like other countries, not only the US. The US maybe has good intentions like Mr. Biden, but again, don't try, I mean, they should not try to twist our hands because they have this military power. We can hurt them. We have a lot to hurt them, by the way, which we have not yet, tried. But again, we need peace and we want to go for peace. To the humanitarian issue, the aid can be given by donor countries. We don't mind that. We don't mind France sending assistance to Yemen and sending 2 or 3 organizations to come to Sana'a, open offices, and then start giving this assistance either to schools or for water or for food or whatever. We have learned a lot since this war started. Maybe we have made some mistakes in Sana'a in terms of dealing with humanitarian organizations, but we learned a lot and we will cooperate, and we want countries to come and help us in the basic things: water, education, and the infrastructure like sewage, like other things that have been destroyed by the Saudis. So again, the food is our main problem, the water cleanness, and also the main infrastructure services. These will be our basic things needed. From there, we can move to other economical issues. We have a very high level unemployment. And one of the issues that concerns the war, why war is continuing, you might ask, for 2 things. Number one, they are financiers of this war. There are countries who finance the continuation of the war, regardless of the US and the UN intervention trying to make peace. And these countries are well known in the region, Gulf countries. Number two, unemployment. A lot of the people who go as soldiers of fortune, they don't have jobs. So when they are called by different groups, they go as soldiers to get some income to live. So let's also look to this issue of unemployment, how to deal with it. And I'm sure they have ways how to deal with that. And then you can see the war subsides.
Thank you. Mr. Ambassador Didier Destremaux, your questions, please.
Okay, the war has to be finished. This is clear for everyone. But I am wondering about the next step. That means after the war. How is the Yemeni government planning to organize the country? I have been living 2 years in Aden in the time of the Ali Nasser Mohammed. And I was discovering that the Yemenis in the south part of the country are not very well in adequation with those in the north. And therefore, I wonder if the Union, a full country like it has been since the last 20 years, is still available. I wonder if a sort of federative organization is not to be settled and organized just to calm down the southerners who are not so keen of coming back under the control of Sana'a.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ambassador. The issue of the South, yes, is a very important issue. I can tell you that there were mistakes done during the time of unity, and some people made mistakes. We acknowledge that, and we have tried our best to reconcile. I mean, the issue here is reconcile. When you speak about trying to separate South from North during the time of the war to serve the interests of the United Arab Emirates, this is the wrong approach to look for the problems that happened in the South and how to clear that or how to amend that. Yemen is one country, and the British can tell you this. They took that seaport and then they established their colony for some time until the 14th of October revolution, and then they left the country on the 30th of November 1967. Yes, yeah, they left it at that time. What we are seeing now is part of the southern political forces are with us. We have a lot of them here in Sana'a. They are sitting with us, they are living with us, and they are against any kind of separation. There are other people who are in the south who found a chance to call for separating South from the North, but taking the wrong approach to claim remedies for what they have called as, let's say, depriving them from their rights or doing something wrong for them. We think that the first issue in this whole thing is stopping the war. If the war stops, and then we are trying to get things to normal, as we hope, and then there are many options to look to this issue. Either as 4 years interim period, when things are settled, things are clear, we know who is what, doing what, and then we can go for a referendum. We didn't mind that. The people in the South, and I can tell you, I was born in the South, and I came to the North some time ago because I had a lot of things with my family. But if you make a referendum between the civilian people, they are not with these people of the Transitional Council who have the power, the money, the equipments, the tanks, the rockets of the Emiratis. If not for the Emiratis paying billions of dollars to people to screw up everything in the south, showing all the bad things and that they need to leave the United Yemen, no one have done anything. We would like people to say what they want in a very clear and unilateral and very clean referendum, but not because the guns are on their heads, because of these guys of the Transitional Council who were brought from somewhere to establish a new state. This is not the way to establish new states. You have to serve the people, not to serve the leaders or to serve the ministers or to serve the officials of certain institutions. No, let's go for referendum. We don't mind that, but first of all, let's get our country back. These people don't want to leave us in peace. They want us to stay like this. And the final goal of MBZ and the other guy, his close friend, also MBZ, I think, Mohammed bin Zayed and Mohammed bin Salman, MBS and MBZ. The final goal of these two people is to leave the Yemenis fight each other, a continuous civil war, so they can stay calm and nice and enjoy the new city of technology, of advancement, of blah, 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 blah. And then they want to establish this basis in the Red Sea and control the entrance of this very important strait in the region. So again, we as Yemenis, we will deal with it between each other, and they stop their financing of the war and they call for separation of our country. Let them go away and mind their own business. And we, the Yemenis, will sit together, try to find solutions for our problems. If they want to leave, why not? These are the people who are on the land, but on very fair approaches, referendums under the UN and other big countries' supervision. And then you will see the normal people, the ordinary people who would like to see their country as one, not South and North fighting each other for a long time as the story used to be.
General Pinatel, your questions, please.
Voilà. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for agreeing to speak with us about the future of your beautiful country. I have two questions. The first one is not a diplomatic question, but coming from a paratrooper general, it cannot be otherwise. My question is, when I see the part of your country controlled by the Houthi, I can't help but think that in your history, there have always been two Yemen up to 1990. The North on Shiite dominance and the South on Sunni dominance. Do you not think that it will be better for peace to return to the traditional partition? Because Iran and Saudi Arabia will never accept that the other part have a control or a big influence on all the country. My second question is a military question. Do you know how Iran and by what way they are able to supply arms and ammunition to the Houthis with the superior air and maritime superiority of Arabia Saudi is for me a mystery. Thank you for your answer.
Anyway, regarding the first of all, I thank you for your questions. And going to the first question is about how Yemen was, then 1990 came, and then the call for two Yemens because the Southern guys will not accept to see, or the Saudis, as you said, Iran, the Saudis will not accept that one controls all. What we are calling for is to end the war and then go to political negotiations to see what is the best, let's say, the best form of political ruling of Yemen, either to have decentralized governance or to have one central government, and then you have different regions. There are a lot of alternatives. I agree completely with you that there are differences between northern region and southern regions. This is a fact. No one can deny it. But if you notice, since 1990 until 2011, we really enjoyed a stable condition, regardless of some of the claims that people have been deprived of their rights in the south. And this is the way that the leaders of Yemen in the south and in the north decided to unite the. So let's go again to the people of Yemen, ask them what form of new Yemen they want. I don't think the forces, leaders of Yemen impose the people to accept something not good for them. It might work for 1 year, 2 years, because some people have the force and they can force people, but it cannot continue on economical basis, on social basis, on peace basis also. So again, leave it to the political forces of all Yemen, not part of Yemen, to decide on the shape of such kind of a country after the war is over, after the intervention of these countries is being stopped. I would like to tell you, I think you are a general, as you told me, that the financing of the war now is the driving force for the economy. There is no economy, only food to buy and some other small services given. We have nothing in Yemen now as economical forces at all. The economic cycle is not existing. Saudi Arabia and the Emirates and others, I mean, you might know them, are paying a lot of money to our markets, and this money is being circled all around for military services, and people get some of that money to eat. So we would like to come back to the real shape of a country where we have a seaport, where we have an airport, where we have some investors from France, from Germany, from other countries doing even some small projects with us, doing something, of course, in peaceful conditions. Then people can decide, but not during the time of war. Any decisions taken during the times of wars are hasty and quick, without any really projection of the future. Everyone should get what is in their mind, provided that they follow the constitution. And no one said that the North should control the South or vice versa at all. Leave it for the people of Yemen to decide their future, not for the Saudis or the Iranians or the Emiratis. The people of Yemen should look to this. And by the way, there are many, many thousands of people who are well-trained, well-educated, who can take the new stage of the post-war era, who can really rule this country, not only those who are fighting now. Those who are now in the picture, maybe they have the guns, maybe they are threatening people, maybe. So the time to say now what really is the future of Yemen is not appropriate. The main thing we have to do is stop this war, open all venues, open all doors for people to go and come back, show the people peace and serenity, show them that they are in peace so they can think and decide. But with these conditions imposing on us a lot of things, I think any decision of separating the two countries will lead us to a continuous war between South and North. Those who are in the North who don't like the people here will go to the South, fight the North. Those in the South, they don't like it there, they will come to the North, fight the South. So again, we don't want to go to this picture. We want to stabilize our country. We want to go for elections. We can really. And then people can mobilize their supporters. Those who win, then they can sit together and look for the new Yemen. What will be the new Yemen?
Thank you. There was a second question from the general on Iran and the supplying of weapons.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you could address that question.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, I got a little bit enthusiastic with the issue of the two Yemens. I forgot the second one. They say that the Iranians have been supplying us with a lot of weapons. Now, officially, and I speak on behalf of the National Salvation Government, not of the conflicting, one of the conflicting parties who have the guns, who have the weapons. We have no really knowledge as a government that there are weapons coming from Iran. Now, if they are smuggled, you know that smugglers are some of the most creative people and the most of the skillful people who can do things while we don't know anything about it. Sometimes they say, Saudis and the Emiratis, that they were smuggled through Oman. We hear this lately. And a report of the Sanctions Committee of the UN said that it used to be smuggled from somewhere through the Omani borders to us. This means that there are channels that we can get weapons to defend ourselves. Now, I said it several times. As long as the Saudis are bombarding us from the skies, sending mercenaries to kill us and try to destroy our houses, I will go to the devil to give me weapons to defend myself. Not because I like the Iranians. No, anyone who will help me to defend myself, I will take any weapons from them. Iran is a friendly country. Iran is a brotherly country, and I have a lot of good relationships and respect for Iran. The same thing that I still have with France and other European countries. All these countries have done a lot of good things for our country. Iran is accused of doing that. Let the Americans and the British prove to the world that they have done it and the way they have done it. All what they said now are just reports, no pictures. You know that there is a satellite run by the French, many satellites run by the Americans. They can zoom it anywhere between Oman and Sana'a. They can film anything. Why they did not show us these things? They just talk about reports. So again, Iran is accused of something that we as a government have nothing to know about it. If our partners, Ansarullah, know more than that, probably during the peacetime, a lot of very, very, let's say, stories, a lot of very interesting stories will come to the surface and we will know about it.
Thank you. We have the questions from Mr. Shrela, please.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Hello, Mr. Ambassador. I have two questions, if you allow. The first one is about the Battle of Ma'rib. In 2015, I could follow the coalition soldiers in their battle in Ma'rib to take over the dam of Ma'rib. And this battle, I would say, was made into such a very big thing by then and did not change much. And we saw now today, the battle is again ongoing. There's a new battle for Ma'rib. How do you see that battle? What's like, I would say, what's the point of that battle now? Is it an echo for what's happening between Iran and the US? Like the talks that would happen? And my second question, please. You spoke about the South. In my many visits to the South, I could see the non-armed state groups that were formed by the coalition, by the Emirates and by Saudi Arabia. Now they are fighting each other, as you know. How do you see this as well? And who would be your counterpart once you would like to talk to on the other side? Thank you.
Thank you. Very interesting questions. The one about Ma'rib, you're right. What happened in 2015 was a quick phase of the war, at the beginning of the war. No one saw the importance of Ma'rib at that time for a very important reason. It was close to the Saudi borders. The Saudis were the leaders of the war. I mean, they were the leaders of the war. So the attention was on Sana'a. They wanted to conquer Sana'a. Sana'a was the center of those rebels, as they said. Since they failed to conquer Sana'a, and then they flee away to different parts of Yemen, Al-Jawf, and then Marib. Marib became the last stronghold of the pro-Saudi Emirati forces. For us, number one, it's part of our country. We can move anywhere in our country. This is part of Yemen. We did not cross the international borders. If we are crossing any international borders, then the whole world really can come and hit us. But this is part of Yemen. And this is the stronghold of the pro-Saudi Emirati forces. If we conquer it, if we break it, there will be no war. The war is over. All of them will run to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, everywhere. Then we can really speak with those who are the leaders of the war, the Saudis. Who leads the war in Yemen? Let us be, truthful. The Saudis and the Emiratis send their field commanders to make a war instead of playing a video game as they used to be, or to go, as I said, to Fort Lauderdale or to Kelly Air Force Base, training on videos. They don't shoot anyone with guns. Now they found human beings in Yemen. They can make plans, send the Yemenis to kill and kill. They can send their planes, kill us, and see how they can shoot properly, as I do it in my rifle training or shooting sessions, because I do it from time to time, not on people, but on targets. So again, Marib is the last stronghold of the pro-Saudi Emirati forces. Let's squeeze them, even if we do not go to Marib. This is our only way to squeeze the Saudis. Let's talk directly to you, eye through eye. Stop the war, we will stop everything, and then we can sit on the table. End the blockade. Let the fuel come to our streets, to our towns. Let us live like human beings. They are living a very nice living everywhere, and they go to Paris, to London, everywhere, those commanders, those princes. And we are here deprived from very, very small stuff. We can't even get sometimes a fever pill to start, to reduce fever, Panadol, or even to get this American, I like American medications. So again, Marib is ours. We will take it, not because we want to kill people. No, we are not hitting civilians, maybe by mistake from time to time. Okay, but we try our best to limit hitting any civilians. Probably our weapons are not that advanced like what they have, the Saudis and the Emiratis from the US, but we are working on our countries, not doing anything wrong. And the point this thing should happen is that we want also to deprive the pro-Saudi, pro-Emirati people from the funds they get to fight us. They get a lot of money from the oil, from the gas. They sell to the world, and we get nothing. Only we have some taxes. We have something from the seaports, and we are poor, by the way. We, the other party of the war, we are poor. We don't have much money. So let us get our money from Marib, and then they will make peace with us. And, number two, about the South. During the Second World War, you had some French resistance. I talked to the guys from France. And these were national forces supported by the people of France and some people of the coalition at that time. The guys that we are supposed to speak with them, they are paid monthly by the Saudis and by the Emiratis. So the decision is not in their hands. It is in the hands of the employer who gives them the money. We respect our brothers in the South. They are our brothers from same blood, speak the same language, and we don't want to hit our people at all. We would like to speak with them as Yemenis, not as people paid by the Saudi treasury or by the Emirati treasury. They are the people who give them the money to say yes or no. So I think big countries like the US, like France, like other countries should interfere in this and stop the Saudi, Emirati interference and speak with our brothers there. Tell them to speak with us. If we are supported by Iran, we ask Iran to stop providing us with money, as they say, or weapons. We would like to speak with them face to face as Yemenis to Yemenis. We don't accept Iran, I say it for the whole world. We don't accept Iran to tell us what to do. If there are people who do that, then it is their mistake, not our mistake. As a government, I speak as a government. The guys there, I know Mr. Zubaydi, I mean, the guy who heads the Transitional Council, and I know many people there. I was born in Aden, and I still have a lot of friends in Aden, and we still brothers. So we are ready to speak with anyone who will show us their interest and respect for Yemen, for Sana'a and Aden, for the people of Yemen, and we would like them to believe in election, the ballots. All of us should believe in that. Those who don't believe in people's choice, I think it's only a phase of time for them. They will be abolished after some time.
Thank you. We will now have a question from Mr. Guillain de Castelbajac.
Can you hear me? It's okay? Yes, Your Excellency.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you for. Well, my question is more cultural, I would say. What I understand from Yemen, I've been to your country sometimes, and I enjoyed it very much before the war. I saw such a rich culture, so caring people, very proud of their country, even though there are differences, as you mentioned, and I trust these differences are strong, but still, as you say, you are brothers, and I understand that, between the North and the South. But the heritage that has been partially destroyed recently in Sana'a, it's really terrible, something extremely terrible. I don't understand, to be honest. I've been living in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi, and then in Dubai for more than a decade. And I had the chance to meet with Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan, the father of MBZ. But Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan, he was very different than his sons, and especially bin Zayed, Mohammed bin Zayed, because he acknowledged his Yemeni origins. He knew where he came from, and his ancestors came from, and Zayed the First and all the others before. They came from Yemen. This tribe came from Yemen. This is very important to understand that. And when I was in Sana'a, I saw also the support. I mean, maybe it's a mistake, maybe it's, I don't judge that, but I saw the support of the Yemeni people for Saddam Hussein when he was taken by the Americans. Why is that? The one explanation is that many Yemeni were in Iraq and making some money to live and to give them to their family. There was also under Abdallah Saleh, there was this movement close to, I don't judge the person, I'm just trying to explain from my point of view. There was this movement of, as we say in French, laïque, meaning the religious was separate from the state. There was also some kind of tribalism, which is inherent to Yemen, which is something special, but under Ali Abdallah Saleh and under the history of Yemen, the recent history of Yemen, there was this kind of separation between the religious fact and the state. But this tendency tend to disappear, and the war probably has unfortunately destroyed most of the states as a neutral way of protecting the people. And I wonder if the religious power, in terms of political power from the different religions, be it pro-Shia or pro-Sunni, whatever, will be a problem in the next step, which is the reconstruction of Yemen and the construction of the peace in your country. Thank you.
Okay. First, I'd like to comment on what you said about Sheikh Zayed, the late Zayed father. This person or this leader was talking from a tribal point of view, a very clean man who did not look that far to issues which relates to colonialism, because he faced colonialism at that time because the Emirates were colonies, small colonies for some time. Sheikh Zayed and his government at that time built the Marib Dam. Yes, they built the biggest dam that we have in our country. They built a lot of schools. They financed a lot of projects in our country, and really we have nothing against the United Arab Emirates as the people, as the history and relationships. The problem started, I will focus first on this issue because it's very important to understand. The problem we have now is with people ruling the country and have a lot of advisors who tell them that they can be a number in the region. Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, he's a leader of his country. I have no problem with that. But to try to reach us in the wrong way by showing us he is more richer, he's more stronger, and he can do something to our country that we don't accept, will not accept it by us. If not by us, by millions of people. The approach they had is wrong. I myself, as the foreign minister of the National Salvation Government, and at that time, the late President Ali Abdullah Saleh was alive, wrote a letter to him, although I said, protocol-wise, I should not write to him as a foreign minister to Crown Prince. I wrote a letter to him asking him at the beginning of the war to interfere in our war with the Saudis and those who are with them to stop this war. That was about 8 months after the government was formed, after our government in Sana'a was formed. We got no response. Instead, they told me, you can come and visit Emirates as Hisham Sharaf, as a person, but we don't accept you as a foreign minister. We want peace at that time. It was a long time ago, we wanted peace. We wanted Mohammed bin Zayed to interfere between us or to mediate between us and the Saudis. Stop the war, let's talk. Let's find a way to get out of this misery. No one responded. So again, they want to feel they are a superpower in the region and they will continue until they vanish. And I'm sure of that because they play big games while they are not that big in front of countries like Iran, like Israel, like all these big countries who really have to make things happen or not happen. The question that was asked about, could that, let's say, could that atmosphere of having a state who rules, who runs the affairs of a country and religion is on the side, I think this will be the decision or the fate that will be made by the people of Yemen. You cannot judge the people while guns are everywhere to threaten whoever. When there is a war, just wait and watch. When peace comes, people start thinking wise. But when war is like hell, and some people have guns and some people are not having guns, those who have the guns will try to enforce what they have in their minds. So leave it like that. Let peace come. Clean the streets from armed people everywhere in Yemen. Establish a civic state or a civilian government. Police comes and establish real police everywhere in Yemen. Talk within the constitution parameters. Let the airports, seaports open foreigners come and go back, all these people, reporters come from everywhere in the world, then you will see that society itself will start talking to what they want to live in peace. But now, I think what you see is a byproduct of this war from the Saudis and the Emiratis on us, and they are pushing us to a certain direction to come to a situation of civil war between us. Then they will leave us away. They are in their country safe and sound, and we Yemenis will be killing each other for a long time, and they will fuel that war. What we need from you, these countries, America, France, so I mean the Russians, the Chinese, all those really who have words to make or break, is to stop financing those who are financing the war in Yemen. If you stop them, this country will come back to its original state. People in Yemen are people like anywhere in the world. They want civilian life, they want quietness, they want to build their countries, they want jobs, they want investments, they want to live their life. When the day comes for them to die, and that's God who chose that date. So again, what you see now is not what we do, let's say, predict for the future when peace prevail all over Yemen, and then all outlets to Saudi Arabia, to the Emirates, to the US, to France, to everywhere in the world, to Cairo, to Jordan. Open it. People come and go, and then everything is being settled. But now, whatever I see now is not really the real situation that Yemen will be in. It is a byproduct of the war.
Thank you. If we could have the question from Mr. El Carré, please.
I'm sorry. Good morning, Mr. Minister. Allow me first to tell the Minister Hisham Sharaf my name in Arabic. اسمي يترجم القارح يعني تاني قبيلة تنصرت أصلنا من اليمن.
أهلا وسهلا. أهلا وسهلا.
And so I was just saying, spelling my name in Arabic in order to tell the minister that our origin family, the origin of our family is from one tribe from Yemen, the tribe of Al-Qarih, who was Christianized after the Bani Kulayb in the 1st century after the born of Jesus Christ. Let us keep beside the questions which are not secondary but are important, to go to what I consider the main situation actually. Let us say, to keep beside Al-Qaeda, the question of the mercenaries, the war crimes, etc., which are, in my opinion, very important. But the main fact actually is that the war on Yemen was a part of a project, a very huge project, beginning in Yemen, in Syria, in Palestine, etc. Making these projects fail changed the balance of power. And we are seeing actually in the whole area the effects of this changing of power. My question is very precise. Whatever are the evolutions of the situation, Yemen will go back to his presence and his political influence in the area. How do you see the influence of the future of Yemen in the Arab Gulf, and in the whole Middle East area? I take as an example the fact that actually it is really something very, very interesting to see. While some parts of this project I was talking about, which is the so-called normalization between some states, Gulf states, and the state of Israel, while the word normalization is absolutely inappropriate because there was there has never been normal relations between these two parts. In this time, we see, meanwhile, we see in every, how can I say, crisis in Palestine, we saw millions and millions of Yemenis going in the street supporting Palestine. When the war of Palestine, of Yemen will end, as you said, by a political solution.
Yes.
Of course, Yemen will have an influence in the area. How do you see this influence on the level of the Gulf states and in the whole Middle East?
Okay, yes, it's a very important question. If you allow me, I'll take my coat because it's hot here in Yemen. Yes, it's very hot. And we have no air conditions, we have no fuel. The Saudis stopped all the fuel from coming to Sana'a. So we are really suffering a lot.
You want to do the same also.
Yes. Anyway, so I feel a little bit with a lot of questions. What you mentioned is true. Changing the demography, in fact, changing the map in this whole area was something that Yemen was as an element. What is happening in Syria, what is happening in Palestine, what's happening in Yemen, really it's part of a big project, yes. And this big project had some objectives which did not work, by the way. And this proxy war, they say proxy war. Let me just go quickly on this issue of proxy war. They say that we are fighting on behalf of the Iranians to annoy the Saudis so they will yield to the Iranians. Now, I'm not a military expert, but I read. I keep reading from time to time. Yemen is known that we built a very big military after the, since the beginning of the 70s. We bought a lot of weapons, including ballistic missiles given by the Soviet Union and Aden. If you talk about the guy in the People's Democratic Republic of Yemen, they and Ethiopia were allies of the Russians. They have piled a big quantity of these missiles, and they built one of the biggest air bases in the south. It's called Al-Ana. So really, we piled a lot of weapons. Now, when we retaliated to the Saudis and sent them some of our missiles, they started shouting, the Iranians, the Iranians. No, we have a lot of those missiles a long time ago. From the south, from the north, huge quantities. I don't know why they piled that up, but the Russians under the Soviet Union had a vision to make a big base in South Yemen and be part of the Cold War and how to affect the situation, they and the Ethiopians, the guys in Yemen and in Ethiopia. What will be our, let's say, what's the scenario for Yemen after the war is over? I can tell you from now. First, we want to rebuild what has been damaged. We are now 10 years back, 10, 15 years back, no development, no scientific, let's say, upgrading our schools, our universities, everywhere, our education. We are in so miserable condition that the Saudis meant to destroy everything we have, so we will be weak in terms of development, in terms of living, in terms of economy, in terms of every aspect of life. This is one of their aims. I don't know why. We are not their enemies, but they want to feel that their neighbors are weak. So then we will go and beg for assistance from them. We would like them to tell us what to do as if we are children. So again, their fear from us will keep this issue on. They have to know that we are not interested in their country, neither the Saudis nor the Emiratis. We have nothing to do with them. We only send some expatriates there to work and give us some foreign exchange. That's the whole issue of this. But they themselves, because they are a small group, sorry to say this, they will be angry today, a small group of people governing Saudi Arabia and governing the United Arab Emirates. They want to stay kings and princes. We are a republic. We will stay as a republic. We will not go back to the old days of the Imam. Full stop. So again, they want us to continue this big chaos that you see in Yemen. As Yemen, I do remember when late President Ali Abdullah Saleh went to the United States, and when he came to France, and when he went to other countries, when late President Saleh was there, all these big countries were thinking of establishing a peace zone in the Gulf of Aden and in the Arabian Sea and the Red Sea. So they wanted us to be some kind of a marine military force in that region, which means that we are not threatening Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is having close borders with us through the, let's say, through the land. So Yemen was supposed to be keeping the peace of the Red Sea and the Arabian Gulf and the, let's say, the ships that are taking the oil through that very important strait. Other countries were not thinking of Yemen as that. They were thinking of Yemen as a very good storage place for sending expatriates to go and work in the Saudis, Emiratis land. So we chose really to train our people, to ask them to go to Saudi Arabia, to the Emirates, to work and also to finance our bills in Yemen. I see myself, or I see our country after this as a country that, number one, proved that no one can interfere in our affairs. We will not be aligned with anyone, against anyone. We want to build our country back. We want to raise our children. Now we have a generation of 7 to 10 years ago who got nothing out of life, out of education. So again, let's be busy teaching our kids, raising a good generation, training them, building our country, open it for investments. We have a lot of oil, by the way. We have oil, we have other minerals, we have seas, we have the island of Socotra. We have a lot of things that we can really call people to invest in it and build a good economy. We are not a threat to anyone, and we will not be a threat to anyone. What you might hear these days is a byproduct of the war. So again, when there is a war, hear what you want, listen to what you want. This is a byproduct of the war. After the war is over, the 30 or 32 million people of Yemen will rethink what they want. And I do depend on those people who will choose who will rule them, who will be their presidents, their ministers, their parties. We need a specific time to rest, to breathe. They don't want us to do that. They keep pouring money. They keep pouring money everywhere, as forming militias, forming troops, asking these groups to kill the other groups. They want to keep us in this way all the time. I can tell the world that Yemenis want peace. Yemenis want to build their country, be as any other state in the region, and we will try to establish good relationships with everyone. That's really how I do project Yemen, not as a fighting country like, let's say, as an assumption, like North Korea. No, we don't want this. I mean, we are starting now from zero. Everything we have done 30 years ago have been destroyed. Believe it or not. Roads, hospitals, airports, seaports, name it, you'll find it destroyed because they had the maps for everything we built during the last 30 years. They destroyed it. In fact, they had the maps for 5,000 of houses where officials who are against Saudi Arabia and the Emirates are living, and they threatened us to bomb every house of these 5,000 houses. Imagine. So again, we learned from this war that all problems cannot be managed by fighting. No. Let's sit on the table with our Yemenis, then with the Saudis and the Emiratis. Peace prevail, and then let's sit with other countries in the world asking for their help, not only in terms of money and food, no. Technology, investments, other things that can make us really depend on ourselves, not depend on the food that comes through the UN, and we are humiliated by what they bring to Yemen and try to show us that we are poor and we are giving you as some kind of a charity. We want to get over this stage, really.
We will now have a question from Mrs. Lalonde.
Patricia, yes. Miss Patricia, please.
So what was the involvement of the groups like Al-Qaeda and Daesh in the Yemen war? And the second question is what is the incident of the nuclear talks in Vienna on the future of the peace negotiation in Yemen?
Okay. Okay, let's go for the first one. We did not have Al-Qaeda, at the beginning, at the time, when they talked about forming Al-Qaeda in Yemen. In fact, it was a byproduct of the Americans, the Saudis, recruitment of a lot of people to fight in Afghanistan, in our country. You know that story. They wanted to fight the Soviets at that time. That was late 80s, beginning of the 90s. The Saudis and the Americans wanted some human beings to go and find the Soviets. They came to Yemen, they took thousands of people. They used to give them a lot of money, give their families. And we have, by the way, some of the recruiters. One of them called Mr. Zindani. I think you know him, the guy with the yellow beard. Write Zindani in your computer, you will get the guy and his story. They went to Afghanistan, they finished the war. The Americans then left them away. They came back to Yemen. A fighter who used to fight for 5-6 years and be a soldier of fortune will not leave that as long as they have no job to do. So they came to Yemen and they started to look around, see how they can really benefit from the training they had. And then we started having the problems of Al-Qaeda. That was Al-Qaeda. The regime, after 22nd of May, 1990, had very good relationships with the Americans. So they asked the Americans to help them fight this group. And this group was used politically, by the way. Al-Qaeda, at the beginning, they started serving the interests of certain political groups to make their agenda work. And we started the war against Al-Qaeda. So you created two parties killing each other. The Americans at that time helped the new state, the new unity state, to help Al-Qaeda for some time. And we had the story until, let's say, 2002, when they had the issues of the two towers in the US, the 11th of September attack on the US. The Americans found certain place in Yemen where they could really continue their practices, their exercises. And they used to send their planes to shoot. They used their commandos to us. And we had really a plan at that time to speak with these guys called Al-Qaeda, how to integrate them within our society, leave their weapons. But I think at that time, there were people in the American administration who wanted to have an enemy somewhere so they can have their hands all the way to that part of the world they can have military cooperation and all these kind of things. And we got in the middle of a fight that we have no reason for it, really. There is nothing in Yemen that makes it a good place for Al-Qaeda activities. We are a peaceful society. We are not Soviets they're fighting or Americans they are trying to kill. The issue continued, and because of the big map of what's so-called Al-Qaeda, Al-Qaeda is serving the interests of many countries who don't want certain areas of the world to be in peace. That's full stop. They get money, they get weapons, even from states who don't want certain area to be very quiet. And some countries, they didn't want us to be in peace and quietness. Lately, they were used by those who want to revolt on unity. They want to build their own emirates because they were kicked from Afghanistan. They were kicked from Pakistan. They were kicked from several countries. There are places in Yemen which are empty. It's deserts, or they have some mountains. So they have their dreams and continuing their movie called Al-Qaeda. So we are fighting them, they're fighting us, and they used to have a lot of money, giving it to others to make their work easy. So we are hitting them again and again and again. My opinion is that Al-Qaeda story will continue as long as there are states fighting states in other countries. That's it. I mean, we don't know what to do with them. To be frank, we are against them. We are against any terrorists trying to launch any operations using Yemen to kill civilians or to make problems for other countries. As much as we care for our country, we will not allow anyone to use Yemen to annoy or to make problems with other countries. They should try to do the same to us. You guys, since you are, let's say, researchers and people who read a lot more than us, you know who are these countries who are financing these kind of operations because they want to fight other countries in other states. You will not find Al-Qaeda in the US, you will not find it in Mexico, you will not find it in Abu Dhabi or in the Emirates. No, these countries keep their countries calm, safe, tourism, investments, other good things. But they send money to others to fight in other places to achieve certain objectives. This is how we look to Al-Qaeda. And the National Salvation Government is continuing the same approach of fighting any terrorists, any group that are trying to harm any other countries or to make some kind of chaos in those countries. Going to the Iranian file, there is a big talk about our case as part of the in the file of the new Iranian-American deal or the nuclear file about Iran. I see it short-sighted, really. I see it short-sighted because Yemen has nothing to do with this. It's a problem between the Americans and the Iranians being afraid. They and the Israelis, of course, the Americans and the Israelis are afraid that Iran might develop a nuclear bomb. As I see it, as a foreign minister of this small country in the region, if the Chinese and the Russians want Iran to develop the bomb, they will develop it, regardless of what the US is doing. Also, North Korea now is in the picture. Now, let's imagine Iran developed a nuclear bomb. Will we benefit? No, at all. So again, trying to link Yemen with the outcomes of the talks in Vienna is short-sighted. There might be some elements connected, but Iran is helping us, if they are helping us, to defend ourselves, defending, not attacking the Saudis. We don't want to attack Saudi Arabia. We don't want to attack the Emirates. Why should we attack them? But as long as they are shooting to our houses, killing us with their planes, sending their pilots to destroy our infrastructure, what should we do? Look to them and smile, take a picture? No, we will shoot back to them. And by the way, we only shot small places And we only hit small bases in Saudi Arabia, small ones. And one Egyptian guy got the rocket on his head only. We had thousands of people being killed on the spot by their planes, by their bombs. They have to think about that. And they say that they want to get the legitimate government to Yemen. This is not a legitimate government. These are deserted officials. They left Yemen, went to those countries, being put in the payroll of these two countries, and they want the war to continue. And the latest, they say, they want to come on white horses with the king of Saudi Arabia to rule Yemen. No way. Those who will rule Yemen are the Yemenis who will be elected in elections. That's it, in fair elections. So we have nothing to do with the file, really. We watch it as you do. And my word to the world, if the Russians and the Chinese want the bomb to be developed, it will be developed.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We'll now have a question from Mrs. Galacteros.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Your Excellency. Sorry, we had also a small technical issue, but it's okay now. So yes, I have a question for you, but first of all, I really want to thank you because you're speaking with such a frankness and a sincerity, and we can feel, we don't hear that so often, especially concerning your country, and it's really very, very inspiring, very, very rich food for thought, I would say.
Thank you.
And we can see that, of course, you're asking for peace, but you also want before all dignity, and this is very important to be said and to be understood by us here in France and also by other countries, I think. So honesty and dignity would be certainly grounds for negotiation, but we're not here yet. So I have a small question, but connected with your last comments. We heard in France that there has been, and there are perhaps currently still, talks between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And I would like to know to have your assessment about the impact, the potential impact of that talks on your situation in Yemen and on the war.
Okay. Imagine there are talks between Saudi Arabia and Iran, and there are talks also between Saudi Arabia and Ansarullah, the Houthis, who are the, let's say, the military and security machine in Yemen. I mean, those who control Yemen now, on the military side, on the security side. Imagine that there are talks, they talk to each other. They have mediators among them, but again, the Saudis always want to be the winners. This is their problem. They think money makes victory. No. Compromises make people agree on things. The problem of our brothers in Saudi Arabia and the Emirates, and sometimes in Washington, is that they want to be the upper hand. No. I think hands usually shake like this. You shake hands like this, not like this, from up, down. No, it doesn't have to be that way. So again, the Saudis talk to the Iranians on strategic issues, which serves the Saudis directly, which serves the Iranians directly. But no one talks about Yemen. I can tell you this. Yemen is in the hearts of the Yemenis, those who want to keep their country for their kids, for their future generations. Saudi Arabia thinks when they talk to Iran, they will try to limit Iran's threat to them. but not to look to their neighbors, the Yemenis, who are supposed to be looked at the first glance. Saudi Arabia talks to the Houthis or to Ansarullah, our partners, and they want to save themselves. But they don't care about the people of Yemen. They don't care about the millions who are now really, living on the edge. If they are wise, they have to talk about the people of Yemen, leaving them to manage their own affairs, make peace available to them, and then they will think wisely. As long as they are continuing on the blockade, they think the blockade will make us surrender. No, as I said in the beginning, open all outlets to Yemen. Let us live like normal human beings. Let us think wise. Stop your planes from hitting us. Don't get involved in our affairs. We will not get involved in their affairs. They are paying people to come to Yemen to serve their agendas, either as intelligence or as creating groups of interest or as destroying our system. They do that because they have the money. They have the resources. We are not doing that to them, neither them nor the Emiratis. So again, if they are wise, let us, with our airport, our seaport, the UN had that resolution 2216, stopping the supply of weapons to Yemen. Okay, go ahead with that, but not Saudi vessels trying to limit us from moving in our coastal areas. They have no reason to send their vessels or their planes to be the new policeman or policewoman, because there are many policewomen in Yemen. Let us alone. We will deal with our problems. Then we will deal with them, making pacts not to interfere in their affairs. And then the Yemeni people, I say it always, the Yemeni people will decide on their future. It used to be like that for the history of Yemen. Some people come, they enforce their rules by force for some time, and then life goes on, and then the people come up again. Yemenis are very intelligent, they are very wise, and they don't accept anything that really goes against their interest, even if it goes for some time.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Ambassador Destremo, do you have another question?
Yes, Your Excellency, you were repeating all the time, and you were right, that the Yemeni people want the peace. But to have the peace, you have to stop the war. And to stop the war, especially after 10 years of hard conflicts like you had and you have now, the best thing is to discuss with the opponents, to discuss with their adversaries, to discuss with the enemies. We French, we have been very, very eager to say all the time, we don't discuss with terrorists. And then we were as terrorists, and then we are delaying a lot the opening of the discussion. So for Yemen now, don't you think it's time to put yourself around the table and to discuss, perhaps with the help of someone like Egypt, Marshal Sisi, or anyone else, just to ease down the discussion and to prepare the two opponents to sit down and open their mouth with the aim of making peace?
Okay. What you said is true. Yes, why not? But let's be very frank on this. When this coalition started bombing us at the beginning of the war, it was not only these two countries, Saudi Arabia and the Emirates. No, it was Morocco, Egypt, Kuwait, everyone except Oman. Oman at the last moment withdrew from joining that military coalition against Yemen. what you said can be really accepted if we are not sure that money makes when it comes to countries in the region. Money sometimes is a driving force of pushing things or trying to impose things on others. The presence of the UN and the United States really is very influential. I can tell you this, and I'll tell you why. Egypt has no, really, let's say, no muscles to force the Saudis and the Emiratis to accept peace terms that might be balanced. But the US has. Who supplies the Saudis and the Emiratis with intelligence information? Who supplies them with very advanced weapons? Who supplies them with a lot of logistical supports so they can hit us? They can kill our people, they can destroy a lot of things in our country. It is the US who started this, and when the war was declared, where was it declared? It was declared or was announced in Washington, D.C. The Ambassador Al-Jubair went on TV in Washington and he declared the war against Yemen, Sana'a, I mean us. So again, the US is the force that can stop the Saudis and the Emiratis if they wanted. I said it 10 months ago or 6 months ago. I said before Biden came, I said if Biden wants the war to stop, he will stop it. So MBZ and MBS cannot move freely in the region or in the skies without the Americans helping them. If they are without Americans, we will go to Riyadh. We will storm Riyadh, believe me, if not the Americans. We can go there and attack them there. So again, the US and the UN are capable of doing something now, and they can strike a deal by telling the Saudis and the Emiratis, open the airport, lift the blockade, watch us what we will do. If they see us going in the peace path, then we go for these negotiations in Oman, in Zurich, in France, anywhere in the world where we can make peace. But the Saudis said no, because they still feel they are a power, they have a lot of money. They can influence the guys in Washington, except some. I will not say all, those in the Congress and the Senate. There are very honest people who believe in human life and human beings in peace. They can enforce what they want the Americans tomorrow morning. If they tell MBZ and MBS, okay, open the airport, let the fuel comes, and let's watch the Yemenis. What will they do? Are we going to bring new weapons? Are we going to attack them if they stopped attacking us? No, we will stop everything. Then we can go on the table with two different negotiations. One with our Yemenis, another with the Saudis and the Emiratis, telling them we are not their enemies, we are their brothers. We are not representing Iran against them, even if Iran helps us to defend ourselves. We are not against the Saudis and the Emiratis. Why should we? So again, not let newcomers come who might be affected by the wealth, by the capabilities they have to change decisions. But the US, MBZ, MBS cannot do much to the US as much they can do to other countries, our brothers, Arab countries in the region.
Your Excellency, I'm doing a time check. We have 12 minutes left of your precious time. So we will have two last questions and then a closing remarks from Mrs. Galacteros. We will first have a question from you, Mr. Shlela, followed by Mr. El Kare. So Mr. Shlela, if you could ask your question, please.
Yes, a quick question about the prisoners exchange. We saw at first the prisoners exchange. Are we to expect anything now that Peter Maurer of ICRC is visiting? He arrived yesterday, I think, to Yemen. Thank you.
Tomorrow he's arriving. The head of ICRC is coming to Sana'a tomorrow. I will receive him among many officials he will meet. We are ready to have a new prisoners exchange. Imagine Yemenis, they are our brothers. Those whom we are fighting, by the way, they are our brothers, we know them. But because the Saudis and Emiratis are paying a lot of money, soldiers for fortune, they are fighting with them. They are not our enemies, really. So there is a planning for another exchange of prisoners. We do welcome it, all for all. Again, I tell you, and this is a fact, not because I'm making some propaganda against our brothers in Saudi Arabia and in the Emirates. They don't want this to happen. This is part of their tools for reopening the airport and letting the fuel comes to us. They want to twist our hands, stop many things until we get to what they want. If they are wise, I think they should be aware that this chair, this ruling chair everywhere for kings and princes is not forever. Thank you.
Mr. El Carré, your question, please. We cannot hear you, Mr. El Carré. No.
Sorry.
Voilà, we hear you now.
Voilà, merci. I said, allow me to make 3 short remarks. First one is that I believe that the failure of the partners, competitors, Saudi Arabia and Emirates in Yemen will create a shockwave, which will surely have an influence on the changement in these 2 countries, maybe toward constitutional new states in this area. The second remark, I would like to thank really the Minister Hisham Sharaf. Let me tell you something, Minister. You made me remember when you talked about dignity, sovereignty, the Republic of Yemen. I remembered a scene I saw in Geneva with the late former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Syria, Walid al-Muallim, when he said, looking to the American delegation without naming neither the chief of the delegation or the members, no one except Syrian people can decide for Syria. And I think you are saying here the same thing. No one will decide for Yemeni people his future. And my last remark is to all of us, I think we have to stop using some words concerning the relations between Yemeni forces, between the Yemen, between Lebanese resistance, Syria, etc. Some people are using the term, a very ugly term called proxies. No, we are, let me talk for my Lebanese part, allies, and allies who respect themselves. When the counterpart will understand the situation, I think building on respect, a lot of solutions can be found and built on the earth. Thank you, Mr. Minister.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Would you like to quickly make a concluding remark before Mrs. Galacteros will? Thank you.
Yes, quick remark. I agree completely on the issue of shockwaves. Mr. Al-Kharah, Mr. Al-Kharah, our good friend, Mr. Al-Kharah said what we do project for concerning shockwaves and concerning Yemenis decide for themselves. Yes. Some people think that you can buy everyone with your money. No, we were really few who stayed in Sana'a, and we had our partners, our allies, Ansarullah, the Houthis, and defended our country because we do believe that Yemen should be Yemen, not a follower of the Saudis. So again, our dignity, our feeling for our country is what drives us to represent ourselves outside. I was one of many who were called to go out of Yemen thinking that we are going to sell our country to others. We said no, And concerning proxies and allies, I do agree on the point by Mr. Qarah, and I think he reminded me of a lot of things that I used to speak with newspapers and international media, that for us Yemenis, we are not fighting a proxy war, siding with Iran, attacking the Saudis. No, we are defending Yemen for our kids, for our future generation, and we will continue like that. And we call our brothers in Saudi Arabia and the Emirates to come to us as brothers, as friends, whatever you call it, but not as enemies.
Mrs. Galacteros.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Yes, okay. Your Excellency, let me just deeply thank you from all the team of the Geopragma team for your commitment in this meeting, because it was really very, very interesting for us to hear you, to hear your sincerity. I think that everybody has been able, I guess, I'm sure, to feel in your words, of course, determination to serve Yemeni people, but also open-mindedness to sit around the table. Of course, should the other stakeholders taking their responsibilities. But yes, we have been able also to feel your love and your involvement, which was very important. I hope we will have other opportunities to exchange, to follow this dialogue, and perhaps, yes, I hope so, and perhaps for Geopragma to help you in improving. I don't know how, I don't know where, when, but if we can be of any help, we would be happy to do something. So I think that Mrs. Lalonde, because it's thanks to her that we had this opportunity to organize this meeting. So I'm sure that Patricia wants to have the last word. So thank you very much, and I hope to see and perhaps one day to meet you in life.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, dear Mr. Hisham Sharaf. It was very interesting, very inspiring, and I really hope that your voice will be heard. We will, President Caroline Galacteros told you to help you in Geopragma, in French and in Europe ways, and we hope we could come to Yemen in your new Yemen.
All of you to come
very soon.
Yes. Last
so thank you very much.
Last word, if you allow me. Last word, if you allow me. First of all, I thank you all for your sincerity, for your openness, and again, Geopragma can help us in Yemen by spreading the word that we love peace. What others, including our friends in the US, see as the situation in Yemen, it's a product of the war. We are human beings like they are. We deserve to live in freedom, in dignity, and in peace. So again, they should listen to us, not listen to those who have checkbooks. We don't have checkbooks. We have good intentions. We want to go to peace, and Geopragma can help in spreading the word. If they don't believe me, let me go to convince them. They don't want that. They got us stuck here, as I said, for 6 years, not allowing us to take a step outside Yemen, but letting the others go to explain what they want. So I hope they will be very courageous in receiving me to speak to them eye to eye. They convince me or I convince them. Thank you.
لا فضة فوق. لا فضة.
الله يخليك. الله يخليك شيخ القارئ.
Thank you very much once again, Your Excellency, for our 6 panelists and for all those who attended. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good afternoon.
Bye bye, all of you.
You too. Bye.